Assalamualaikum, Prof. Morning.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. How are you? Selamat hari raya.
Good. Selamat Hari Raya. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, good.
That's good. That's good. All right. Thanks again, Prof, for doing this. This is really great. Again, our students needs this very badly. So thank you so much again.
No
So
problem.
apa namanya, saya dah buat Prof jadi co-host, and then you can if you can check, boleh share screen.
Boleh. Let me try, okay?
Alright, I will admit everybody at 10:28. So far we have around 10 people.
Okay. Can you see my slides?
Yes, I can. Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, so right, Chun.
I have actually I my slides ni I have sampai chapter 3, but today kita cuma buat sampai chapter 1.
Okay.
And when we have some other times kita boleh sambung with
Chapter 2 then chapter 3 lah, Prof.
Because I am very sure that chapter 1 ni ambil masa banyak, especially the research methods, especially the problem statement,
Yeah.
question, objective, kan?
Betul. It takes some time to actually understand it, and then to
My
actually
audio
try
is
it. Audio ada pecah-pecah sikit lah, Prof.
yeah.
Uh-uh.
Okay, I hope I can.
Tak
Okay,
apa.
sekarang ni
For-
macam
Sekarang ni, okay, how about my audio? Okay tak?
I can hear you clearly.
Maybe for the first few minutes you can just open your webcam for students nak tengok you, and then after that you can kalau line connection tak clear boleh off camera and then just start the workshop lah, Prof. But I'll introduce you first, then and then I'll leave it to you lah.
Okay, nanti kan doktor macam ni kita while I'm actually discussing, tell them feel free to actually stop me if they do not understand anything, because nak tunggu sampai at the end kadang-kadang dah lupa soalan ke, kadang-kadang so it's okay if we drag this thing, tak apa, then later we can continue, but I think we should allow them as much time as possible so that they can really understand the
True.
three RQRO problem statement, kan?
True, betul. Okay, no problem. I'll do that when I'm introducing you. No worries.
Okay.
All right, Prof.
Thank you for organizing this, because this is really good. I mean, I don't mind doing this because insyaAllah kita dah mengajar kan, so we can
Betul.
someone to organize.
Plus the foundation yang budak-budak ni tak dapat tu memang tak ada.
Yes, I know.
So they have to go and struggle and do it, and then to their own understanding. So this is good lah, Prof. Thanks, Prof. Okay, Prof. I meet them right now. Okay, Prof. Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Hanis. Yeah, I can see Dr. Hamisah now. Yes.
Yes. Good morning, Prof. How are you?
Fine,
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Chang.
Hi, how are you? I'm going to see you next week, okay?
Yes.
Okay. And I think that we should meet before the lunch, right?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. You bring me around and walk around the lake.
I'll take you to Starbucks.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Good. Yeah.
I treat you one more round of Starbucks when we meet as well.
Wow, then I'll have full of tabak then. Okay, I think that today we have many students here, and I
True.
think that I start to get to know all the students.
So as of today, Prof. Chang, this is a workshop conducted by the school, but I've invited across many other schools in the faculty as well to join, because it's crucial for them to actually understand chapter 1, to write chapter 1. So that's how important it is, this workshop to be organized. Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Chang, this what we have here at Taylor's actually, it's really interesting. It's different from what we have been doing at UPM, because here your proposal equals to chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and
Yes.
then you have to present it. It's like a viva where you have external examiner.
Yeah.
Whereas, at UPM and UKM, our student would present the proposal, only the,
Internet.
Internal.
Yeah.
So it's different, but I love the system here. And I think, if the student actually, if they are able to really go with our coaching, 3 years completing PhDs should be good already. Yeah.
True.
Yep.
True.
So I'm going to learn from you, my mentor, and
Sure.
also my senior. Knowing each other for 35 years.
Wow. I have to learn a lot from the both of you, including Prof. Normaliza here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. If I may start as of right now, thank you so much again for everybody in joining the workshop for today. Welcome to the School of Media and Communication. This is a workshop organized by the school. I'm Nur Hanis Muhammad Noor. I'm the program director for the school. So today we have a workshop going on by our well-renowned Senior Research Fellow, Associate Professor Dr. Hamisah Hassan. She has graduated so many students. She's a Senior Research Fellow in the School of Media and Communication. So with that, she will be conducting this workshop for today, which is writing your chapter 1, which is pretty crucial for PhD candidates to actually be exposed of, because when we talk about writing your chapter 1, sometimes a few students would not know how to start. So or if you have started, it's a little bit here and there. So this would be a good benchmark for you to see where you should improve in your thesis. So with that, I have as well my Senior Research Fellow, Professor Dr. Normaliza. Welcome, and Associate Professor Dr. Chang Peng Ki as well from the School of Media and Communication. I have a few of my colleagues, Mr. Sanjit, Ms. Leong Waikid as well. So welcome everybody. So with that, at any time, when Prof. Hamisah conducts a workshop, you can actually just give me a second. So with that, you can ask at any time. If you're not clear, you can ask Professor Hamisah to any questions during the workshop. So feel free to stop her anywhere. Feel free to drop a question in the chat box as well. So with that, over to you, Prof. Hamisah. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hanis. Assalamualaikum to the Muslim. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see some familiar names in here. Okay, thank you all for coming. And I hope that, my sharing of, knowledge today would benefit us all. Okay, and also, like Dr. Hani said, that should you feel that, there are certain things that I am actually sharing, during this 1 hour that we have here, you need to clarify, please stop me. Okay, put on your hands up, because sometimes, the emoji might not attract my attention. Okay, just stop me, and then I can, repeat as many times as possible, so that we all understand. Because what we are trying to do, in this workshop is actually to, make you understand how do we construct the problem statement. Okay, because that's very, the crucial part of your thesis. Okay, your problem statement, your research question, your research objective. Okay, if you have these three things, all tie up together strongly, people can actually question you, raise whatever question that they want. Okay, you can be, they can ask you to change, here and there, but then, you would not actually feel that it is very difficult for you to then continue working, because, the base is already strong. Okay, so that is what we are doing here. Before I go into, my discussing my slide here. Okay, as we know that, our proposal at Taylor's, okay, unlike, some other universities, okay, because I have my experience at UPM too. Okay, unlike those two universities, okay, here at Taylor's, okay, our proposal consisted of, chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. Okay, and also, once you have done your proposal, okay, you need to actually submit for examiners to read, and then you go for proposal defense. Okay, and to ensure that, all would go well with your proposal defense. Okay, then it becomes, essential that you produce a very good proposal. Okay, so that will be what I would cover today. Okay, so just the chapter 1. I actually have my notes until chapter 3, but I think, I have discussed with Dr. Nohanis. For today, we will do just chapter 1, and then, we probably come back later for chapter 2 and chapter 3. Okay, I'm going to turn off my video because, to save with the connection. Okay, so I'll come back and, see you guys before we end the discussion. Okay, so, okay, this is the topic that I have prepared. Okay, preparing a research proposal. Okay, writing your chapter 1. Okay, now you will find that, when we talk about chapter 1, okay, this will be the different items, okay, that I will be discussing with you today. Okay, minus chapter 2 and chapter 3. By the way, is my audio clearly, good enough for you, listener, online here today?
Yes, Prof.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so your title, your introduction, your background of study, your scope of study, your significance of study, and the keywords. Okay, now these are the elements that we usually have in our chapter 1. You may have, additional, but usually these are the items that we have. Okay, so now let's go with the first element that we have, the title. We find that, usually when candidate, okay, produce the proposal, okay, sometimes you find that they either come up with title that they have actually read somewhere, or sometimes, they would come up with title that they actually plan to, study. Okay, but for the most part, you find that, candidate at the earlier stage, would just come up with, any title that they, think that that is appropriate enough. So as you begin writing, okay, do not worry so much about the title, because this is kind of like provisional. Okay, because when it comes to title of your thesis, okay, you'll find that, in many schools, even after your final viva, okay, your final oral examination, before you submit your thesis, you may be requested to change, the sentence a little bit here and there. Okay, however, okay, that does not mean that you can just simply come out with, any title that you want to, put up with. No, okay, you want to really think about the title, because a title of your thesis, okay, it should be communicative. What do you mean communicative? It means that, okay, your title should communicate what is it that you are studying. Okay, what is the topic all about? What's the research all about? So, when your reader look at your title, okay, they would be able to kind of, have an impression, have an idea of what you want to do. Okay, so this is what title need to do, for your research. Okay, so it should be communicative. You want to come up with good title because you want to convey to your reader, okay, what you are actually studying. Okay, it may change, but then, changes would not actually change the whole idea of your research. That you need to remember. Okay, you can change the structure, you can change, the sentence that you write, but the main idea is still there. Okay, so you find that, your title should clearly shows what is it that you want to actually study. In fact, if you refer to Barbie, for example, that's a very, a very interesting professor on Twitter that I follow, Professor Pacheco. He says that, if you come up with a clear title showing your variable of the study, okay, that would actually help your reader understand what is it that you are trying to examine. Okay, so especially if you are doing a quantitative research, variable is important to be shown in there. Qualitative, sometimes, you find that you some qualitative title, they do not actually put the variable. It's okay. Okay, but for any quantitative, we want to see the variable. Okay, so your title should be clear, should be precise, and not too long. Okay, now in some schools, they even have a limit to the number of words that you can actually use for a title. Okay, so these are the different things that you want to actually remember when you construct the title of your thesis. Okay, because you want your reader to take a look at the title and right away, have an idea of what you are actually doing. It should be informative. Okay, as much as possible, okay, try to avoid using abbreviation. Okay, And you, like I said earlier, okay, the title, this is at the beginning, it is provisional, meaning, you know, that title that you have would actually help you in terms of you trying to find review of literature, you trying to understand the methods that you want to do, okay? But then as you move on, you find that, you know, you probably would, you know, fine tune the title and make it better, okay? Okay, these are some of the samples of titles that I have, pick up that I would like to share with you, okay? If you look at the first example here, okay, this is clearly quantitative, okay? Because you are looking at effect, okay? Again, the use of this different term, okay? If you are doing qualitative, then remember that, you know, you would not be able to actually measure effect if you do qualitative, okay? We have listened, in fact, we have read some, proposal that were actually presented, you know, a few months that we have been here at Taylor's. We find that, you know, sometimes candidates do this. So my advice to you is, if you are doing qualitative, remember, you would not be able to actually measure effect if you do qualitative. So if you look at this, then you would clearly know that this is quantitative, because, you know, you have the moderating effect, and then you have the variable that, you know, this candidate is actually studying for the, the research, okay? And the candidate is also looking at relationship between one variable and the other. So it's very clear, okay? Similarly with the second title here, sample, okay? And the third one too. Now, look at this fourth one. Communication factors contributing to the success of film production in independent and mainstream film industry in Malaysia. Now, this one, okay, it can be quantitative, it can be qualitative, okay? While you are saying that, you know, this communication as the variable here, contributing factor, but the data can come from qualitative and it can also come from quantitative, okay? But this one, media consumption of Japanese popular culture among Malaysian young adults, this is definitely qualitative, okay? Because if you look at this, you find that, you know, you do not see a relationship between variable, okay? Yes, you find the media consumption, but you find that, you know, this is the topic is like a very big picture, okay? Now, this one, do you even live? Yeah, this is an example of how, in the US, they would allow you to come up with this kind of topic. In Malaysia, in some schools, they would say no question mark, no semicolon, no, the system of the school. So for us here at Taylor's, okay, my advice to you is check out Taylor's house system, house style, we call it, okay? Check whether we are allowed to do this at Taylor's, or is there any, system at Taylor's that says, no, you cannot have, this type of topic. Okay, now this comes from a PhD topic from School of Brian Lam at Purdue University. You see, do you even live? An experimental study of hashtag fitspiration messages and their effects on correlates of exercise behavior per social connective theory. If you look at this, it very clearly shows you the methods, experimental study, okay? And then you also see the effects on correlates. That means you know this is quantitative because you are looking at, you know, the effect of one variable to the other, okay? So topics, you know, can come in various form. You can be creative in coming up with your topic, okay? Still, look at this house style of the school that, you know, that is going to confer with you the degree, okay? And also, okay, you also need to understand, okay, is your title clear enough in, you know, giving the whole picture about your thesis to your reader, okay? So that's about the title. Any questions so far? Good. Okay, so you find that, okay, in your chapter 1, okay, the first item that we usually have in chapter 1 is introduction. You know, introduction here, it depends on, you know, I'm not saying that this is the best way, okay? But what I'm saying is this is, you know, a good way to actually introduce your thesis, okay? You'll find that sometimes, okay, in introduction, candidate would just go dive in right away, writing about, you know, the history of the work. Okay, for example, if you are actually trying to examine, you know, the use of social media in the film industry in China, so the background you tend to go with the history of you know, social media usage and so on. Now, you can do that, but your examiner would say you are taking us, you know, a long way before you actually get to the research question. So a good way to do is in the introduction, okay, just a brief sentence that you have. This is just to introduce your chapter, okay? I know that, you know, some of the work that I've read so far, when they talk about introduction, they go with the background of the study right away, okay? I'm not saying it's wrong, but then, you know, I would suggest that if you want to be, you know, really to make sure that your reader would have, you know, well guided into reading your work, okay, begin the first introduction of your chapter by telling your reader, what is chapter 1 all about? Okay, so you are sharing with them what are the items that you have in chapter 1. So that will be more, you know, guided for your reader. Okay, so so introduction will be just, you know, very brief, very short, 1 paragraph, just telling them that in this chapter 1, these are the items that I will be discussing. So remember, use, you know, for proposal, you cannot use past tense, but for your thesis, once you're done, you know, before your viva, for your final oral examination, yes, you use past tense. But for proposal, you cannot use past tense because you have not yet conducted the study. Okay, so you say, okay, this chapter will discuss the background of the study, you know, and then, you know, the significance and so on. So it's just, you know, introducing the chapter. So that's introduction, the first item in your chapter 1. Okay, and then, okay, move slowly to the, wow, this is really tiny. Can you see this one?
Not really, Prof.
Yeah, it's tiny, but I will read it to you. Okay, it looks huge in my my laptop. Okay, but never mind. I will read it to you, and then later I will share with you the slides. Okay, my apology to this small font here. Okay, background of the study. This will be the item number 2 of your chapter 1. Now, I like to do this inverted pyramid when it comes to constructing the background of the study. Why? Because, okay, this one, the top part of the pyramid, you find that it's very wide. And then, as you move on, you find that it goes, narrow and narrow. Okay, so this top part, okay, this is where you begin your background of your study, where you actually offer the brief overview of your topic. You give the big picture, okay, but you don't want to go the extra mile of putting in everything. You need to know, where do you stop? Okay, so meaning, okay, if for example, you said that, your topic is sharing about, examining social media usage in China. So this first, background here, probably you just want to share what's the, number of internet user in the country, what's the percentage, how fast is internet usage in the country, all big picture. And then, you slowly narrow it a little bit by actually connecting the background and, introducing your terminology that you use, meaning the variable that you are using. Okay, for example, if you look at the earlier title that I have actually shown, the mediating of the education, income, with the relationship of vaccination. So you find that here at the first part here, okay, the candidate needs to actually give a big picture of what is the stage of vaccination in the country. Is it, or the people receptive to vaccination? What are the percentage of people who are actually, getting vaccination? Okay, is vaccination, getting any challenges from the people? So in a big picture, and then zoom into the variable of the study. So the income, the education. So you need to actually, know how to connect between the big picture and then moving into introducing your terminology, the variable. Okay. Now, once you have actually introduced the variable, then only you narrow into the problem of the research. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we usually find, in a reading research proposal, where candidate have the tendency to actually fail. Okay, because here, okay, when you talk about your problem statement here, okay, you find that sometimes candidate would just give a statement. Now, when we say problem statement, that means it has to be problem. Now, if you say that you are examining social media usage in China, okay, that's a statement. A problem would be if, if that usage of social media is actually causing some deviant behavior, or if that usage of social media is actually causing the youth to be experiencing the Sang culture. Okay, so that is what it meant by problem statement. That means, what is the problem? Okay, that's why you find that, sometimes if you are not clear about research problem, when you go for your defense, then, the examiner would actually say, so what? You want to study about, Sang culture? Okay, good. So what? So the so what here is what you want to actually really, really understand. Okay, because when we talk about this, problem of statement here, okay, what we are actually trying, to explain to you is that you want to be clear. What is it that you want to study? What is the problem? What is the issues that actually, creating that problem? What is the puzzle? I think that this is usually the problem that we find, many, not just, in tailors, but, elsewhere. Many candidates usually have this problem. They tend to actually give you the statement without actually explaining what's the problem. Now, earlier I said that, when we construct the research question here, okay, in our statement of the problem, when we construct the research question, there are three things that you want to really, have a very good understanding, okay, before you construct this research question. Number one, you want to understand what is the theoretical assumption of the work. Okay, when we say theoretical assumption, okay, let me go back with my example of the use of social media in China. Okay, now when I said theoretical assumption, okay, you probably have the thinking that, okay, if you were to actually relate, okay, the use of internet among young people, or the use of internet among youth in China, so you relate with, the uses and gratification theory, for example. Okay, now the theory says that the more you use the media, the more gratified you become. Okay, so you try to think along that way. So the more these young people use the social media, the more gratified they become. So this is what it meant by theoretical assumption. You assume that, this young adult in China, okay, now that they are exposed to, the internet, they are becoming more gratified. So you connect that with UNG, uses and gratification. Now that's the theoretical assumption. And then you need to add that theoretical assumption, okay, with issues. Issues here is the puzzle that actually push you to come out to do this study, okay? The why you want to do the study. So issues can come from the phenomena that occur around you, that you observe, from your reading in the media, or, what's happening, that report that you are actually saying in the internet, okay? So issues, okay, example of issues. The more that this young adult are exposed to the internet, the more misbehavior that they become. That's an issue. Or the more that this young adult are actually exposed to the internet, the higher the tendency for them to actually be, acting in the Sang culture, for example. Okay, so that's the issue. So you already have element number 1, theoretical assumption. Number 2, issues. And then the other, item that you want to add up to create your research question is the gap of the study. Okay, now gap of this study here, you can only get the gap of the study if you review the last 3-4 years of work that relate to the study that you plan to conduct. Okay, so you probably have have read like maybe 50 journal article, and then in that 50 journal article you found that this different research that have been conducted in relation to the use of social media and youth behavior. Okay, one or two finding probably will say that is positive. A couple of other findings would probably say negative. So you need to really review this literature to get the gap of the study, and then you connect that with the other 2 items that you have earlier. That is how you actually construct your research question. Okay, so from that research question, okay, then you actually construct research objective. So research question and research objective, okay, it should be it should synchronize, meaning research objective needs to echo what you have in your research question. Okay, so any questions so far? I know this is the part that normally would really make you get a headache. Okay, anybody has any question that you want to ask me before I move on?
Any questions so far for Professor Hamisah, PhD candidates?
Okay.
All good, Prof, for now.
Okay, I take it that it's clear enough. So that is the background of the study. So before I move on, let me get back to again to this part here. This is very important. Background of study, okay, is actually you trying to explain, okay, what is it that you want to do, okay, why you want to do it, okay, what is the real problem that really push you to conduct the study, okay, and for you to be able to actually construct this problem statement and then research question and research objective, you need to actually integrate 3 items: theoretical assumption, the issues, and the gap of the study. Okay, theoretical assumption is your understanding about a theory, okay, that you can relate with the work that you want to conduct. Okay, issues will be, what is the phenomena that occur around you, okay, that relate to the work that you would like to do. Okay, and then the gap of the study is, what has been done so far. Okay, so these 3 very important things. Now, as for, I think, whether you are doing qualitative or whether you are doing quantitative, okay, this part of the proposal, it has some differences, okay, but not that big a difference, okay, because the way we construct research question and research objective for quantitative and qualitative, you find that in some school that there are some differences between them. Okay, so don't worry, okay, if you are confused, you are doing qualitative, would it be okay to do this? You can still do, you know, following the way that I suggest earlier, okay? But then the way you actually construct the question, that would actually tell us whether you are doing qualitative or quantitative. How so? Now, if you are doing quantitative, usually you will begin with a what question, W-H-A-T, okay? Because quantitative, okay, would need for you to actually come up with a yes or no, and then, you know, you need a statistical figure to actually allow you to analyze the data and later, you know, share your finding, okay? But qualitative, you usually have the why question, because in qualitative, you know, your answer is not going to just stop there, but it will go on and on and on. You say, oh, why are the young adult using internet? Oh, because they like to have fun. Why? You know, so you go on and on and on and on, you know. So that's qualitative. But for quantitative, you normally have the what question. My suggestion, okay, if you can get a hold of Catherine Miller, that's a very good, you know, conceptual theory in communication, okay, that would help you understand, particularly to construct not just, you know, understanding theory, but also the philosophical of, you know, conducting research in communication. Okay, I would share the title with Dr. Hanis later, and then if you would like to check out the book, okay, you can get the information from Dr. Hanis. Okay. Okay, now, this is another item that we need to have in our chapter 1, the scope of the study. Why do we need to put a scope? Because, you know, whatever that we would like to study, it would be a very big thing, a very big issue, a huge phenomena. And while conducting PhD, okay, we want to graduate in 3 years, it may not allow us to really do a lot of things. Okay, so for that reason, okay, we need a scope. Now, when I say scope, go back to my earlier example of usage of social media. Now, social media is the big, you know, it's a big topic, right? Under social media, you have Facebook, you have WhatsApp, you have blog, you have WeChat, you know, you have YouTube, you have all these different new, you know, channel online that you can think of, that social media, okay? But if you are just going to really examine, you know, whatever that is being, you know, done via WeChat, why don't you just put WeChat instead of saying social media? So this is what it meant by, you know, scope of study. That means, you know, you explain that, well, this study, okay, while this study would actually explore social media, however, this study would only examine the usage of WeChat. So this is, you know, scope of study. Okay, we talk about scope of study. Okay, it can be scope in terms of geographical boundaries, meaning, okay, my study would only cover China. Okay, young adults all over the world are actually using the internet. Young adults all over the world are probably using WeChat. but my study would only look at the usage of WeChat in China, boundaries. Okay, that's the scope. Because if you do not spell out, then, you know, your reader, your examiner would be thinking, oh, okay, this is interesting. You are talking about, you know, the use of social media. So you probably will be looking at all the different social media that you can find. You are, you know, talking about the usage of WeChat. So it must be, you know, the usage of WeChat by young adult all over the world. Okay, so explain clearly the scope of your study. Okay, so it can be scope in terms of the, you know, the topic. Okay, what is it that your focus is all about? It also, you know, in terms of the geographical boundaries, okay, and analytical boundaries, okay, because you find that, you know, when you are analyzing your data, okay, you'll find that you probably will be seeing a lot of different items. Okay, so you need to actually plan what is it that you are going to analyze. That's very important, okay, so that you would actually be guided. Otherwise, you'll find that, you know, you will spend years just, you know, trying to analyze the data that you have, especially if you are doing, you know, qualitative research. See, okay, qualitative research is very interesting. You would have very rich data, okay, but if you do not know where do you stop, where do you begin, and where do you stop, then, you know, you'll find that you will spend years just, you know, doing that particular topic. One of a candidate that many years ago that I met, who was actually conducting qualitative research at one of the university here in Malaysia. Okay, very smart lady. She's from the Philippines. Okay, and very thorough, very hardworking. You know, she was doing qualitative study, looking at, you know, some of the communication issues in the Philippines. She was writing so much that, you know, she spent like 10 years, because not because she really, you know, doesn't know how to do it. It was because she has so much data. She doesn't know how to put a limit to it. Okay, so plan your work so that, you know, once you actually begin analyzing your data, okay, you know that, oh, okay, you found that, but then, you know, your work is not looking at that. So, you know, you can skip and then, you know, go on discussing about other issues. So this is important, okay? Narrow the scope of your study, okay? So it's important, where do you begin and where do you stop? Okay, I have, you know, students that I supervised many years ago, okay, a very perfect guy who just doesn't know that, you know, he was doing wonderful, but he said that, no, doctor, I don't think, you know, I want to submit yet, because I think, you know, I want to improve further. Okay, let me tell you, you are not trying to get, you know, this is not nuclear science, okay? This is just for your PhD, the process for you to understand research, how to conduct research, okay? This is not for you to actually, you know, gain Nobel Prize, no, okay? This is for an exercise, so that later when you become a professor yourself, you know what is conducting research all about, how to do it, okay? So you need to know when to say, okay, that's it, you know, I'm not going further into this. So at the beginning of your proposal here, you should really put the boundary already, so that that would help you. Okay. And then you have the significance of the study. Okay, this is also important. Okay, we realize that sometimes a candidate find it difficult to actually explain what is their contribution to the knowledge. So we find that, when it comes to significance of study, we always have, okay, this study of the usage of internet would help the Chinese government, it would help the youth in China. Okay, sure, that is good. But you are doing, an academic research. Therefore, your significance of the study, okay, it should contribute to the scholarship, okay, to attain the scholar. Once you have your PhD, you become a professor, you want to profess, okay? So significant, okay, the significance of the study, okay, to the body of knowledge, meaning, okay, how would the finding of your study contribute to the theory that you have actually utilized in your work? Okay, uses and gratification, okay, says that the more you use, the more gratified. So probably your finding would say that, the more gratified, the more you would use. So that's your contribution, okay? Or you also want to, think in the line of how would your finding contribute to the literature? Earlier in the work, okay, you have the gap of the study. Okay, study that was conducted, a year ago says that social media causes deviant behavior. Okay, so probably your study says that social media plus maybe some one or two variable contribute. So this is what significance of study is all about. Okay, so meaning, okay, how significant of your study to the body of knowledge. Okay, what would your study contribute? Okay, so you want to be fair to both the theory and also the practice. So the practice would be, the significance of your study, the findings of your study, okay, would actually contribute to policymakers. Then you can come, in helping the government, the schools, etc., etc. Okay, but the theoretical is very important because this is the academic work. Okay, and finally, keywords. At the end of your chapter 1, okay, keywords would be the variable that you are actually examining for your work. You don't want to for example, if your work is actually usage of WeChat among young adult in China, or relationship between usage of WeChat and deviant behavior among young adult in China, that means, the keyword would be the usage of WeChat. Okay, and then what? Deviant behavior, and then young adult. So that those three things, okay, would be the keywords for your definition. Okay, so you don't have to go with social media, you don't have to go with other things that are actually not relevant to your study. Okay, so basically what we have done, okay, so far, okay, this morning, okay, let me go with this. Okay, what we have discussed this morning, okay, the titles for your research, the introduction, the background, the scope, okay, significance of study, and the keywords. All I have colored green here for your chapter 1. Okay, I hope I have given you a clear picture of what you need to have in chapter 1. Okay, if you have additional, it's okay, as long as this different items that we have here or in your chapter 1. Okay, because sometimes some different supervisor comes from different school of thoughts. It's okay. Okay, but as long as it follows along this line, it should be okay. Okay, so some of my the input to what I'm sharing today, okay, it comes from my reading some of the proposal this past few months, okay, last year and also this year. Okay, so for those who are still working on your proposal, I hope this will be helpful. For those who have presented, hopefully this will help you, strengthen your proposal that you already have, okay, and make the correction that you need. Okay, so if you are from other schools, don't worry, go back, check with your supervisor. They may have additional here and there, but basically I think they share the same idea, that is on how to construct the background of study, for example, the introduction and the scope of study. Okay, Dr. Nohanis,
Yes, Prof.
at the end of my lecture here, over to you. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. If you have questions, I'm happy to try and answer you.
Thank you so much, Prof, for this fruitful startup of writing your chapter 1. Any questions from the floor? If I could take any questions from the PhD candidates? Is it clear?
Oh, I'm seeing Johan in here.
Okay. There's no question so far. It's very, very clear, Prof. That is good. I just have, okay, there's a question from Dr. Kasim. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Hello. Hi, Prof. Dr. Kasim is here from SOMAC. I just want to appreciate the way you presented. I, as a supervisor, learn a lot, and definitely I will transform this knowledge to my PhD students as well. I really appreciate the way you elaborated for the PhD students. I really enjoyed your session. Thank you so much for giving this very informative session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kasim. All right. I think I have Hailey, do you want to ask a question? Hailey, JK. Let me see. Is there any questions? No, right now. Maybe I'll ask the most from my side. I'll ask the most I would say the frequent question that any PhD candidate will ask to an examiner. You are an examiner yourself. Would be how many citations should a PhD candidate put in a problem statement to verify that their issue is a problem? Yes, Hamisah.
How many?
How many? Yes.
I don't want to say 20, I don't want to say 10, I don't want to say 11, because then, it becomes a formula. But what I think would be good is that if you can read, as many articles as possible, particularly the past, 3 years, okay, that would be good. But then, because sometimes we have, candidate who probably have read like 10. This is the background of study, okay?
Yeah.
And, that candidate was able to actually really construct a very good, problem statement. So, I would be satisfied with that already. Sometimes I have candidates who have actually read a lot, okay, but you were not able to, construct a very strong problem statement, because you see, whether you read a little or too much, okay, would go back to the work that you refer to relevant to what you are going to actually do, okay? Yes, I remember when I submitted my proposal. Now, this was a long time ago, okay? Okay, when proposal to UKM for my PhD, I went to the library for like, a month, okay? And then I have like 50 references for just my proposal, okay? But not the question, but the whole proposal for submission of application, not my thesis proposal. So again, I have friends who actually have done just very little references, but they were able to construct, really strong, they came out with really, good proposals. So it would depend on what is it that you are doing, okay? How well do you connect with your review of the literature, okay? And how lucky you are to get, really good, article, okay?
I thought you were saying, if you're lucky to get good examiners, then you are lucky.
That is another, contributing factor also.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Prof. Hamisah. Any other questions from anybody? From PhD candidates? Yes.
I would say thank you very much for this informative lecture, but here is the question: when will be chapter 2 and 3?
When will be the workshop for chapter 2 and 3?
Yes.
Soon. Hopefully, when we have the time, we will blast out an announcement to all schools of FSLM, and we'll invite everybody, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm available, like, we can continue next month, or I'm okay, because at the moment, Prof. Normaliza has not given me any thesis yet to read. Give me like 2-3 theses at one go. So at the moment, she's nice to me, so I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay, we will organize soon, hopefully everybody. Thank you very much. Okay, so maybe if there's no question, there's question from Kamrun. Yes, Kamrun, for Professor Hamisah. Yes.
Assalamualaikum, Prof. The question I want to ask, it may sound a bit weird for everyone else, but this is a notion I often have, is that when I am reading, I consider that I have, for my field, I have read a good amount of literature and all. And what I am looking at is the vaccination intention and situational factors. But the issue I often face is that I feel like, I feel like there is good enough literature that the contribution that I want to make, maybe it's not directly done in the particular theory I am using, but somehow else, directly or indirectly, it has been said there in the literature, maybe using a different theory or something. I mean, is it normal for PhD students to have this kind of feeling that, the contribution they're making or the thing they're doing, it's not entirely very, very new or something like that?
Okay, that is where your relationship with your supervisor comes in handy, because sometimes when we as the candidate, we would think, I think, I've done enough. So usually, when I was doing my PhD, I would actually, spend like, a month or so rewriting whatever that I've done. Usually I would not give my first draft to my supervisor. Okay, I would complete draft number 1. I would read again, redo 4 or 5 times, and then I will submit it to my supervisor, because the second reader would be able to actually identify whether there are any more loopholes that we can actually fill up. So, if our supervisor go through and then they can come back to us, I think you should be reading this. I think, here you need to elaborate it this way. So then, you would be able to patch up, wherever that you may think, because sometimes, especially when we are doing the work, we always think that it's either way. Okay, some candidate will say, I'm done. So you do it, probably, you have that written probably 2 draft, and then you submit. But then there are also other candidates who, like, I said earlier, okay, one of my supervisee, he is so Mr. Perfect that, sometimes I have to tell him, just give it to me. Let me read, let me tell you whether it's right or you need to add more. So there's no one way to do it. But if, let's say, you have already written like, 4 or 5 times, send it to your supervisor. Let your supervisor read, because, that is what your supervisor is there for, to guide you, to read your, your work and tell you, look, I think you should be adding this. I think, you should go this way. I think this is, not the right way. So don't limit yourself. Okay, you want to be as free as you want to be, and you also want to limit in terms of, I don't want to go that far anymore. Okay, so that's one way. The other way is go back to in your proposal. Okay, what is the scope there? Okay, so that you would not go overboard. Because sometimes that's another, I think this is another thing that, many of us actually experience at the beginning, particularly. Okay, we read one article, and then, we read another article, and then we say, oh, you start changing topic. Okay, so put the scope, put the, come out with the title that is your working title, so that it helps you. It tells you, okay, this is where I should stop. This is where I need to go further. Kamrun, did I answer your question?
Yes, Prof. But I think the second part actually quite clearly answered my question more relevantly. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kamrun. Thanks. Any other questions from PhD candidates? Maybe second last one or last one?
Yes, I have a question here.
Yes, Jiang
Yes,
Wei, yes.
yes. For the gaps, I'm wondering, because for sometimes my supervisor and other teachers may suggest that there are not enough gaps for my PhD, the research title. So I'm wondering, do we have a standard for that? How many gaps do we have to have for an in-depth PhD dissertation? Like, one in theoretical, one in context. How many gaps do we have to have for sufficient?
Okay, gap of study. Okay, I usually would not go in terms of how many.
Okay.
But when I examine, I will like, what is the gap that you are trying to fill up? Okay, for example, okay, going back to my example of the usage of social media among youth in China earlier. Okay, so probably 3/4. This is how you want to work out, to identify the gap. You probably have, one article that you have read. This is the variable that shows the gap of the study. Okay, there's another article. This is the variable that look at the gap. Probably if you draw out the diagram, you find that probably 3-4 articles were actually looking at the same variable to fill up the gap. Okay, but then you probably find that maybe another 3 or 4 article, okay, look at another variable. So when we say about gap, we need to read the article. We need to analyze, and then we need to actually relate with what we are doing. Okay, so like what is the topic that you are doing?
Me?
Yes.
I'm doing education, and specifically in corrective feedback in language teaching.
Okay, now, so what you want to do is you want to find out, okay, what has been done in terms of the correction in the language teaching. You probably find so many of them, okay, but then among that so many, okay, probably some will be similar to what you are doing, some may not be similar to what you are doing. Okay, so when we say gap, probably say, okay, I've read most of the article. The researcher were actually looking at the correction from the perspective of teaching mathematics. This is just an example. Okay, so I said, then you said, but my study would fit in here to help understand that we are looking at correction in the education, for example. Okay, so whether it's going to be the context, or whether it's going to be gap in terms of the methods, again, you want to check with your supervisor. Okay, because I am assuming that your supervisor would like to see gap in terms of contextual, in terms of methods, probably. Okay, so if that's the request from the supervisor, then you want to fill in that. But as for my supervisor, when it comes to gap, I prefer the general picture of the gap. So different supervisor would tackle this differently. It's not wrong, okay, but you need to know your supervisor.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for the question, Xiang Wei. Thank you, Prof. Hamisah, for the very well answered as well. Any other questions? Last question from the participants. If we can have one more. Everybody okay? All right, I think almost everybody, is good as well in terms of your clarification and the explanation of chapter 1, Prof. Hamisah. So thank you so much again for taking the time to explain and teaching the PhD candidates, and sharing your knowledge of writing your chapter 1. So thank you so much. So with that, can we have everybody, if you're comfortable, to open your webcam for a bit for a picture, if that's okay? All right. All right. Okay, if everybody is good. Okay. Okay, we have a couple more. I'm waiting 1 minute for everybody to just open the camera. All right. Okay. All right. So with that, let's take a picture together in 1, 2, 3, smile. And another one, if that's okay. Okay, in 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Again, thank you so much, Prof. Hamisah, for taking the time to explain and share writing your chapter 1. I hope this is very beneficial for all PhD participants, and I will be forwarding the recording session and the slides, you know, maybe earliest next week to each and every one of you. Hopefully we will have time for chapter 2 workshop and chapter 3 as well by Prof. Hamisah. So with that, thank you so much everybody for coming in, and please have a good day and be safe. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Promisa. Thank you. Bye. Wutong, I will be in touch with you in email, okay?
Okay,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye,
Thank you.
doctor.
Bye. Bye. Thank you, everybody. You may leave the meeting room. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you. Thank you.